the public a specific technical on the recorded explanation for why today that changed to a woman who has, according to public record, personally helped contribute to solving more than 300 cold cases using this exact technology. Just went on the record and explained the obstacle, the level of precision no press conference, no sheriff's statement, and no mainstream coverage has provided on. What she said is specific. What she said is verifiable against available forensic science. And what she said changes how this entire investigation needs to be understood. Stay with us. Because the answer, when you understand it fully, is not what anyone expected. And because embedded inside that answer is something else. Something that could potentially change the timeline of this case in ways that most people are not yet aware of. This video is based on publicly available reports and expert discussions surrounding this case, where analysis moves beyond verified reporting will be clearly labeled as such. Every claim presented as verified is attributed to its source. Every theory is labeled a theory. Every single source claim is identified as such. Before we get to exactly what was said publicly and exactly what it could mean for this investigation, you need to understand how investigative genetic genealogy actually works. Because the obstacle that has reportedly been identified only makes sense once you understand what this technology requires. Most people who follow this case are familiar, according to available reporting, with CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system. A forensic laboratory processes DNA evidence from a crime scene. They generate called an STR profile, a short and repeat profile, which maps a specific set of genetic markers. Those markers are uploaded to CODIS. The search for matches against the database profiles from people who have been convicted of crimes or in jurisdictions required DNA collection. CODIS is, according to available historical records, powerful. It has reportedly been responsible for millions of investigative connections since its creation in the 1990s. It has one fundamental limitation. The person responsible for a crime has never been in the criminal justice system, never arrested, never convicted, never had their DNA collected by law enforcement. CODIS has nothing to match against. It is a court invisible to that system, regardless of how strong physical evidence be. Investigative genetic genealogy reportedly solved that problem by changing the question entirely. Instead of asking DNA which is known offender, genetic different question match, even partially any left it, because you share portions of your siblings, your children, your cousins, even your third and fourth face of unrelated people who happen to share common ancestors with a suspect becomes, according to available analysis, a potential map that could lead investigators toward that individual. But here's the critical detail that most coverage has not adequately explained. Investigative genetic genealogy are profiles. It reportedly requires an entirely different kind of data, what is known as a SNP profile, single nucleotide polymorphism. A SNP rated according to available scientific descriptions by thousands of specific positions across a person's genome. It is the same type consumer ancestry testing services generate when someone submits a sample. It is what powers ethnicity estimates and relative matching tools on those platforms to search genetic genealogy databases. According to available methodology descriptions, investigators need a SNP profile generated from crime scene DNA. That profile would then be uploaded to the database. The system would find partial matches, people who share enough genetic material with the unknown profile to suggest a family relationship. From those partial matches, allergologists would build family lines of descent and individuals whose DNA was found at the scene. This is the framework record and used to contribute to solving hundreds of reportedly what has been in connection with this investigation. Publicly available expert statements, something, and that something is specific. Who went on publicly is a corporate, not a peripheral figure in this field. She is, according to professional histories, the person who helped build it. According to her publicly available professional biography and multiple verified media appearances, is the genetic genealogy on nanolabs. The forensic reportedly pioneered for law enforcement. She had publicly available records solving more than 300 criminal cases using genetic genealogy that report sexual assaults and cold touched for decades. She has reportedly testified witness. She has reportedly trained lawyers across the country. When she speaks about limitations of this to available analysis, she speaks from experience, not theory, not academic speculation. Sat at the keyboard, uploaded the profiles, built the family tree, served cases break open that had been closed for years. She MZ about the specific technical facing this investigation. Precisely, she detailed the company reportedly working to solve it. According to available report, deliberate choices. Here is what she confirmed to available reports. More consumer DNA profiles reportedly exist in accessible data. Her on-record statement, she believes federally seek warrants to access the largest consumer DNA databases that have available company policies, barred voluntary cooperation. Despite according to publicly available information, the three largest companies have reportedly barred law enforcement from using their database for genetic genealogy purposes. A warrant is, according to available legal analysis, a different matter. A federal court cannot be overridden by private company policy. According to available reporting exists. The authority reportedly exists. The database is reportedly, and yet, according to available reporting, have not been searched. Why? The answer, according to her publicly available statements, and it starts with what DNA looks like at a real crime scene. According to available reporting, the assumption that most people made when they heard DNA evidence had been collected at his home was that the next step was straightforward. Run the DNA basis. Get a name. That assumption, according to available expert analysis, is incorrect. Not because incompetent, not as failed, not because but because, according to avert statements, the DNA evidence may exist in a form that genetic genealogy databases reportedly cannot currently use publicly. The DNA evidence reportedly recovered from inside Nancy Guthrie's home is what forensic scientists describe as a complex mixture. A DNA mixture occurs when biological material from more than one person is deposited in the same location, on the same surface, and collected as a single sample. When a forensic team swabs a surface in a residential environment where family members, visitors, contractors, and other individuals may have all left biological traces over time, the resulting sample can contain multiple people's DNA simultaneously. Their genetic material is physically mixed together in the same swab. Complex mixtures, according to available forensic science descriptions, are not unusual at crime scenes. Forensic laboratories reportedly deal with DNA mixtures regularly. Two-person mixtures, a victim and a suspect, for example, have established methods for analysis. When one contributor provided significantly more DNA than the other, scientists can often isolate the major contributor's profile. But when more than two people contribute to a mixture, or when the ratios between contributors are unclear, according to available analysis, the picture reportedly becomes dramatically more complicated. The genetic signals from each individual overlap and interfere with each other in ways that current deconvolution algorithms may struggle to separate. This is described, according to available forensic science literature, as a complex mixture. And complex mixtures are, according to available expert analysis, reportedly the point at which current forensic science, for the specific purpose of generating a SNP profile for genetic genealogy, runs into a significant obstacle. Here is why that matters specifically for genetic genealogy versus traditional CODIS searching. For standard CODIS searches using STR profiles, scientists have reportedly developed mixture analysis tools that work reasonably well even with complex samples. STR profiling examines a relatively small number of genetic locations, typically around 20 or fewer, which reportedly limits how badly the signals interfere. But SNP profiling examines, according to available scientific description, hundreds of thousands of genetic positions simultaneously. These positions are spread across all 23 pairs of human chromosomes. When multiple people's DNA is present, each of those hundreds of thousands of positions may reflect a mixture of contributions from multiple individuals, building an algorithm that can, across all those positions simultaneously, reliably assign a variant to the correct contributor, and do so with enough accuracy that resulting profiles are actually usable for genealogy database searching is, according to available analysis, an unsolved computational problem in its current form. She confirmed this explicitly in her publicly available statements. This is reportedly not a resources problem, not a processing time problem. According to her public statements, it is an algorithm problem. The software that could reliably deconvolve a complex SNP mixture into individual contributor profiles does not currently exist in a validated, reliable, legally defensible form. Without a clean single contributor SNP profile, the equivalent of one person's complete genetic fingerprint isolated from the noise of a complex mixture, uploading evidenced DNA to consumer databases reportedly produces nothing useful. The system is, according to available analysis, not designed to accommodate a contaminated multi-contributor sample. The matches it would return would be statistically meaningless, and so, according to available reporting, the pathway waits. But, and this is the part of her publicly available statement that changes the entire frame of the conversation, she did not stop there. She confirmed publicly that a company called Estra is reportedly actively developing software specifically engineered to solve the INSP mixture deconvolution problem. Not generally, specifically, fast-tracked, present tense. Active development, the word fast-track, according to available analysis, matters. It reportedly does not mean expedited on a standard research timeline. It suggests the development schedule has been actively compressed. The resources, the personnel, the computational infrastructure reportedly accelerated for cases exactly like this one. Consider what that reportedly means. There is, according to available reports, a company actively building the specific piece of software that reportedly stands between investigators and a potential named suspect in this case. This is not speculative development of a 5-year research horizon. It was described publicly as fast-track with a timeline that is reportedly being actively managed. She then went further in her publicly available statements. She stated on the record that if and when investigators obtain a viable single contributor SME profile from the DNA evidence reportedly collected, whether through Estra's software, through pathway, or through the recovered DNA evidence that is less complicated, she believes this case could potentially be resolved within weeks, not months, not years. Weeks, and the reason she reportedly gave for that timeline is specific. According to her public statements, the investigative genetic genealogy team reportedly standing by is ready to work immediately upon receipt of a clean profile. The databases containing 50 million profiles are reportedly ready and accessible through legal process. The warrant mechanism is reportedly established and functional. The family tree analysis can reportedly begin immediately upon receipt of a usable profile. The only reportedly missing is the profile itself. And the company that may produce the capability to generate that profile is, according to available reports. Now, let us be exact about what has been confirmed publicly and what has not, because precision matters. What is reportedly confirmed on the record through publicly available statements. DNA evidence was reportedly collected from inside this home. That evidence reportedly exists in the form of a complex mixture. Complex SNP mixture deconvolution reportedly cannot currently be performed reliably with existing technology. A company named Estra is reportedly developing software to solve that specific problem, and that development has reportedly been fast-tracked. If a viable single contributor SP profile is obtained, identification databases could potentially follow within weeks according to that assessment. What is not reportedly confirmed, the exact number of contributors present in the DNA mixture, whether investigators have identified any of the mixture contributors through other available means, the specific timeline for Estra's software release or validation, whether Estra has already been directly engaged by investigators or whether that engagement is pending, whether other evidence, digital records, financial trails, witness accounts, camera footage, has moved the investigation forward through entirely separate channels, what we can observe analytically. The specificity of these publicly available statements is itself informative. The technical obstacle was named specifically. The company reportedly working to address it was named. The potential timeline was stated. That level of detail in public statements about an active federal investigation does not typically happen without deliberate intent. There is a conversation that always accompanies genetic genealogy in law enforcement, and this analysis would be incomplete without addressing it honestly. Gatomer's genetic databases were not built to serve law enforcement. They were built for people who wanted to understand their heritage, discover relatives, and learn about their genetic health predispositions. When someone sent their DNA to a consumer genetics company, they were making a voluntary choice to share their genetic information with a private company for personal purposes. The idea that their DNA upload could eventually contribute to identifying a relative, someone they may never have met, as a suspect in a criminal investigation is, of course, a significant expansion of the original implicit agreement. The legal and ethical debate around this is real and ongoing. After high-profile cases involving genetic genealogy, some major platforms changed their terms of service regarding law enforcement access. Law enforcement uploads to certain platforms are now reportedly only permitted when the account has specifically opted in to allow law enforcement use. Both the investigative potential and the privacy implications of this technology are real. Both deserve acknowledgement. Both are part of the complete picture. Why did this forensic expert choose to speak publicly and specifically about this case? She chose according to available analysis with broad public reach. Not to a forensic science journal, not to a law enforcement publication, but to a platform with significant public audience. She could have spoken in generalities. She could have confirmed involvement and declined to detail specifics. She could have referred all questions to official investigators. Instead, according to available reports, she named the technical obstacle with precision. She named the company reportedly working to solve it. She named a potential timeline. There is a pattern, according to available analysis, in how experienced forensic professionals communicate about active cases in public. When they speak specifically, when they volunteer detail beyond what is required to simply confirm involvement, there is usually a purpose. Sometimes the purpose is maintaining public attention on a case where that attention matters. Sometimes the purpose is establishing a contemporaneous public record of where an investigation stands technically. What we can observe is that she said more than she had to, and what she said was precise. In an active federal investigation, choices about what to say publicly and where to say it are made carefully by people who understand the stakes. The precision of the statement is itself the statement. For those who have been following this case from the beginning, this development connects to threads that have been tracked across months of reporting. The DNA evidence reportedly collected from inside this home has been a central element of public reporting since early in the investigation. But the gap in public reporting has always been what happened next. What did investigators actually find when they processed that evidence? Why has there been no public indication of progress through the genetic evidence pathway? That gap, the silence between DNA was reportedly collected and any subsequent development, has been one of the most significant unresolved questions in the public record of this investigation. According to available expert statements, that gap now has a specific technical explanation. The DNA was reportedly recovered. The DNA was reportedly processed. The DNA reportedly exists as a complex mixture that current forensic technology cannot adequately deconvolve for genetic genealogy purposes. That is not, according to available analysis, investigators failing to do their jobs. That is the leading edge of forensic science, encountering a problem that has not yet been solved at the scale required. This also connects to the documented investigative silence on multiple fronts in this case. Investigators have, according to available analysis, strong reasons to keep public communication minimal when a specific technical capability is in development. If the technology gap is known, if the solution is in active development, the strategic choice may be to say nothing publicly that would alert anyone with relevant knowledge that investigators are currently waiting on a specific capability to become available. Silence is not always inaction. Sometimes, according to available analysis, it is strategy. The DNA pathway is, according to available analysis, one thread. It is potentially one of the most powerful threads available if the technology gap can be closed. But it is reportedly not the only thread. The investigation reportedly continues through multiple avenues simultaneously: the pacemaker data timeline, the doorbell camera analysis, the backpack purchase records, the construction worker angle, the backyard camera evidence. All of those threads reportedly remain active, and all of them matter independently of the DNA pathway. A complex investigation does not, according to available analysis, rely on a single evidentiary thread. But the genetic genealogy pathway, if and when it reportedly becomes viable, represents potentially the fastest route from evidence to identification. information, a direct genetic connection from evidence to identity, searchable across 50 million profiles, powered by what has been described as the country's most experienced genetic genealogologist. That is, according to available analysis, not a thread investigators abandon. That is a thread they reportedly protect until the technology is ready to use it. And according to publicly available statements, that technology may be getting ready. There is one more thing worth stating clearly before this analysis concludes. Nancy Guthrie has been missing since February 1st, 2026. She is 84 years old. She is a mother. She is someone whose absence has been felt not just by her immediate family, but by the many people who have been following this story, the community that has formed around this case, the people watching, tracking every development, sharing information, holding inconsistencies, building a collective understanding matters in ways that extend beyond comment sections. When investigators know that sustained public attention is on a case, when every public statement is being scrutinized, when the pressure to allocate resources stays elevated even as time passes, the dynamics of an investigation reportedly shift. Missing persons cases have, according to available research, a documented history of fading from public attention after the first wave of coverage. The cases that stay in the public eye reportedly have better outcomes. The connection between sustained public pressure and investigative outcomes is, according to available analysis, documented across decades of cases. The genetic genealogy pathway is one thread. The technology built, the timeline, if the publicly available expert assessment is accurate, could potentially be measured in weeks once the capability exists. We are watching. If you have information about the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, please contact 1-800-CALL-FBI. Tips.fi.gov combined reward $1.2 million. Anonymous super. Turn on notifications. Because when something breaks in this case, you will hear the analysis here first. This video is produced for informational and analytical purposes only, based on publicly available reports and expert discussions surrounding this case. All analysis represents the opinion of this channel. No individual is accused of any crime. If you have information about this case, please contact 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Mixture, which means there are more than 2 people in it, and very likely more than 2 unidentified individuals.
50 million, that is the number. That is how many DNA profiles are sitting right now in consumer genetics databases that the FBI reportedly has the legal authority to access through established warrant processes. 0.50 million genetic fingerprints, 50 million maps of biological identity, 50 million potential pathways to relatives of whoever left biological material inside Nancy Guthrie's home. And yet, according to publicly available information, none of those databases have been searched. No profile has been uploaded, no family tree has been built, no name has emerged. For 66 days, the person who reportedly appeared on that doorbell camera at 1:47 in the morning remains publicly unidentified. The FBI remains involved. The investigation remains active. And the most powerful forensic identification tool in the history of criminal justice, a tool that reportedly helped solve a case that went cold for over 40 years, is sitting unused. Until today, according to publicly available reports, nobody had given the public a specific technical, on-the-record explanation for why. Today, that changed. The woman who has, according to publicly available record, personally helped contribute to solving more than 300 cold cases using this exact technology, just went on the record and explained the obstacle with a level of precision that no press conference, no sheriff's statement, and no mainstream coverage has provided. What she said is specific. What she said is verifiable against available forensic science. And what she said changes how this entire investigation needs to be understood. Stay with us. Because the answer, when you understand it fully, is not what anyone expected. And because embedded inside that answer is something else. Something that could potentially change the timeline of this case in ways that most people are not yet aware of. This video is based on publicly available reports and expert discussions surrounding this case. Where analysis moves beyond verified reporting, it will be clearly labeled as such. Every claim presented as verified is attributed to its source. Every theory is labeled a theory. Every single source claim is identified as such. Before we get to exactly what was said publicly and exactly what it could mean for this investigation, you need to understand how investigative genetic genealogy actually works. Because the obstacle that has reportedly been identified only makes sense once you understand what this technology actually requires. Most people who follow this case are familiar, according to available reporting, with CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system. When a forensic laboratory processes DNA evidence from a crime scene, they generate what is called a short tandem repeat profile, which maps a specific set of genetic markers. Those markers are uploaded to CODIS. The system searches for matches against a database of profiles from people who have been convicted of crimes or arrested in jurisdictions that require DNA collection. CODIS is, according to available historical records, powerful. It has reportedly been responsible for investigative connections since its creation in the 1990s, but it has one fundamental limitation. If the person responsible for a crime has never been in the criminal justice system, never arrested, never convicted, never had their DNA collected by law enforcement, CODIS has nothing to match against. That person is, according to available analysis, invisible to that system regardless of how strong the physical evidence may be. Investigative genetic genealogy reportedly solved that problem by changing the question entirely. Instead of asking whether the crime scene DNA directly matches any known offender, genetic genealogy asks a different question. Does this DNA match, even partially, anyone related to the person who left it? Because DNA is inherited, because you share portions of your genome with your parents, your siblings, your children, your cousins, your second cousin, even your third and fourth cousins. A database of unrelated people who happen to share common ancestors with a suspect becomes, according to available analysis, a potential map that could lead investigators toward that individual. But here is the critical detail that most coverage has not adequately explained. Investigative genetic genealogy does not use STR profiles. It reportedly requires an entirely different kind of genetic data, what is known as a SNP profile, single nucleotide polymorphism. A SNP profile is generated according to available scientific descriptions by analyzing hundreds of thousands of specific positions across a person's genome. It is the same type of profile that consumer ancestry testing services generate when someone submits a sample. It is what powers ethnicity estimates and relative matching tools on those platforms. To search genetic genealogy databases, according to available methodology descriptions, investigators need a SNP profile generated from crime scene DNA. That profile would then be uploaded to the database. The system would find partial matches, people who share enough genetic material with the unknown profile to suggest a family relationship. From those partial matches, a skilled genetic genealogist would build family trees, trace lines of descent, and potentially identify the individual whose DNA was found at the scene. This is the framework. According to available records, it has reportedly been used to contribute to solving hundreds of cases, and it is reportedly what is being attempted in connection with this investigation. But according to publicly available expert statements, something is blocking it, and that something is specific. The person who went on the record to explain this publicly is, not a peripheral figure, and is, according to publicly available professional histories, the person who helped build it. According to her publicly available professional biography and multiple verified media appearances, she is the chief genetic genealogist at Parabon Nanolabs, the forensic genomics company that reportedly pioneered genetic genealogy for law enforcement. She has, according to publicly available records, personally contributed to solving more than 300 criminal cases using genetic genealogy. That reportedly includes homicides, sexual assaults, and cold cases that had gone untouched for decades. She has reportedly testified in court as an expert witness. She has reportedly trained law enforcement agencies across the country. When she speaks about the capabilities and limitations of this technology, according to available analysis, she speaks from direct operational experience, not theory, not academic speculation. She has reportedly sat at the keyboard, uploaded the profiles, built the family trees, and personally observed cases break open that had been closed for 30 or 40 years. She spoke on the record to TMZ about the specific technical obstacles reportedly facing this investigation. She named those obstacles precisely, she detailed the science, and she named the company reportedly working to solve it. According to available reporting, those were deliberate choices. Here is what she confirmed publicly, according to available reports. More than 50 million consumer DNA profiles reportedly exist in accessible databases. According to her on-record statement, she believes federal investigators would likely seek warrants to access the largest consumer DNA databases, potentially including those that have, according to publicly available company policies, barred voluntary law enforcement cooperation, despite the fact that, according to publicly available information, the three largest companies have reportedly barred law enforcement from using their databases voluntarily for genetic genealogy purposes. A warrant is, according to available legal analysis, a different matter. A federal court order reportedly cannot be overridden by private company policy. The legal process, according to available reporting, exists. The authority reportedly exists. The databases reportedly hold the profiles. And yet, according to available reporting, the databases have not been searched. Why? The answer, according to her publicly available statements, is technical, and it starts with what DNA evidence actually looks like at a real crime scene. According to available reporting, the assumption that most people made when they heard DNA evidence had been collected from inside Nancy's home was that the next step was straightforward. Run the DNA. Search the databases. Get a name. That assumption, according to available expert analysis, appears to have been incorrect. Not because investigators are incompetent, not because the legal process failed, not because the databases are unavailable, but because, according to available expert statements, the DNA evidence may exist in a form that genetic genealogy databases reportedly cannot currently use. She confirmed this publicly. The DNA evidence reportedly recovered from inside Nancy Guthrie's home is what forensic scientists describe as a complex mixture. A DNA mixture occurs when biological material from more than one person is deposited in the same location, on the same surface, and collected as a single sample. When a forensic team swabs a surface in a residential environment where family members, visitors, contractors, and other individuals may have all left biological traces over time, the resulting sample can contain multiple people's DNA simultaneously. Their genetic material is physically mixed together in the same swab. Complex mixture, according to available forensic science, not unusual at crime scenes. Forensic laboratories reportedly deal with DNA mixtures regularly. Two-person mixtures, a victim and a suspect, for example, have established methods for analysis. When one contains significantly more DNA than the other, scientists can often isolate the major contributor's profile. But when more than to a mixture, or when the ratio is unclear, according to available analysis, the picture reportedly becomes dramatically more complicated. The genetic signals from each individual overlap and interfere with each other in ways that current deconvolution algorithms to separate. This is described, according to available forensic science literature, as a complex mixture. And complex mixtures are, according to analysis, reportedly the point at which current forensic science, for the specific purpose of generating a SNP profile for genetic